to order of the Historic District Review Board, January 16th, 2024.
Make sure you're talking to your mics.
January 16th, 2024. Roll call.
Mayor present.
Glasser.
Strew present.
We have a quorum. Stand for a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance. Kidding. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
No public comments. Do we have approval of the agenda format? I make a motion, we approve the agenda format.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
And the minutes, we are approving the minutes of December 19th. Anybody have any questions about the minutes?
No. Move that we approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
December 19th.
Okay. No unfinished business. New business, applications for certificate of appropriateness. No fence installations. Modification to approve certificate of appropriateness, 623 Madison Avenue.
Good morning. Thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know the weather is not the best. I know some of you traveled, so thank you for coming out. This application is for 623 Madison Avenue. The applicant is QS LLC, and the owner is Tyler and Corrine Malsby. This application is a modification of a certificate of appropriateness that was issued on May the 17th of 2023. This is on a new home, and they would like to change the door style for the front and the rear. As you can see, that the proposed front is now for a fiberglass 4-light 2-panel with no transom for the front, and for the rear is a fiberglass 2-light 2-panel, no transom. They would like to change the style of the skirting that was previously approved from diagonal to square. And the trim now would be a ram's head style. And to add a window to the front gable. Again, this will be on a new home. If you turn over to page 2, you will see the materials are listed. You will see the staff analysis, the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines for Section 5.13, new construction of primary buildings. And the applicant is here if you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
So it's a new home. It's on page 18. Mike, if you're online there.
Yes, that's good.
Previously approved, changing doors, windows, direction of the lattice. I don't see anything.
Anyone want to make a motion?
And they've stopped before any of these proposed changes have been put in. That's correct, right? They haven't,
That's correct.
These are changes from the original.
yeah, just a paper change.
Right.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the request for those changes to the approved certificate.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Renovations, additions, and new construction, 542 Monroe Avenue. Lots of windows.
Excuse me, right before that, we did have a little statement that we would like to the board to really read. And us as staff would like your opinion on it. It says our office has taken the position that while the guidelines may have allowed for administrative review for the replacement of windows being reviewed under agenda items 61 through 4, we did not feel comfortable that additional work may be needed once the existing windows were reviewed. Therefore, the Historic District Review Board is reviewing these applications. Staff would also like the board's opinion on how to handle these types of applications moving forward.
Not exactly clear. So you're saying that in the process of putting the windows in, there may be additional work needed?
Yes, one of these applications is that they're replacing it already.
Maybe that's a discussion we should have when everyone's present, if that's fair.
Okay. We can put that on, if
Yep.
that's okay with you. That's what we were asking. Okay, moving.
Looking at this particular house?
Yes, right now we'll move right along to agenda item 61, 542 Monroe Avenue. And this applicant would like to be called, so let me get him on the phone.
Hello?
Hello, is this Mr. McGowan?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the Historic District Review Board with Charles, and we are looking.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
We're
Okay.
looking at your application to replace 21 existing 1/1 vinyl windows with new 1/1 Fibrex windows on a two-story
ma'am.
single-family dwelling.
Correct.
Does anyone have any specific questions?
Could you just tell us a little more about what the Fibrix is?
Well, it's a 40% wood composite, and I'm trying to think.
That's,
It's got another.
yeah, that's,
Uh,
okay, that's enough.
It's better than what we had. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
So it's a
I think you're right,
composite.
okay, yeah.
I had a question. On the third floor, you have the arched windows. Are you going to be replacing those?
Well, not in this go-round. What you have here is only on the first and second floor, and we don't have. Eventually, we're going to replace those attic windows, but we didn't include that with this job yet. We weren't quite ready for that one yet.
Okay. When you say eventually, are you talking within the next year or so?
Well,
Excuse me, that's not on this application, so we kind of just want to stick to this application.
I was just going to make the comment that if it's going to be within the next year, it might be worthwhile putting it to
Well,
coming
Save
back.
money. He only,
You know,
yeah.
if we could include it in there, ma'am, I'd be happy to include it because we would probably I'm sure that we would go with the same contractor and try to match that in with the same type of window that we're putting in elsewhere. I know
Same
they're going to
shape.
need it eventually. So we might be able to pull that off in another year if we can include it.
Well, as discussed in our office, their certificate of appropriateness is only good for 6 months. I think that's why he was holding off.
Okay. Okay, then you would have to come back to the board with a new application for those windows.
And that's fine, ma'am. I know it's gonna cost us, but that's fine. We're happy to do that.
Okay. Do we have any questions as far as the windows he wants to replace?
No, it sounds like this is an improvement in terms of what the new windows are gonna be relative to what the old ones were, which, I think is an important consideration. And, you know, I can understand now why you wanted the board to look at this, because sometimes the exact wording can trip you up and sort of force you into that, when sometimes, you know, it's better to do something that will give a more historic look.
I have no questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for 542 Monroe as proposed.
I'll
Second.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And motion's passed.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate y'all's help and cooperation.
You're most welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. 224 Jefferson Avenue. More windows.
It's window night tonight. Okay, this is 6D, agenda item 62, 224 Jefferson Avenue. The applicant is Brian Pavlek. He is replacing 23 of the existing vinyl 1/1 double hung windows with new vinyl 1/1 double hung windows. As you can see below, it says the materials are Lansing Series 40 1/1 double hung vinyl. And that is still on page 1. And then over on page 2, you will see the staff analysis. And here, because this is a change, you'll see that it's some historic district overlay design guidelines have been listed out for you.
Is the applicant here?
I don't think so. I can try to give him a call if you'd like. Because some applicants, I think, maybe wanted to stay in tonight, so give me just a moment.
My question was that I didn't see a picture of what the new window is actually. There's a picture of a window, but is that the actual one? It doesn't show the whole, like, molding and everything, what it's going to look like.
I think it was gonna look like, just like what it's there, I assume.
I think it's to match the fit, form, and, yeah.
But let me see.
I'm just going back to Mr. Herb's question on the windows, because it's not obvious. It's connecting. And this is, who are we looking for? Brian? It's not connecting.
So if you look at page 67, which is right past the pictures of the house, it has the, kind of the brochure sheet, and immediately following that, it has the product spec sheet that lines up with that.
With the number of which number size window is going to be replaced throughout the house.
Correct. So if you look at that, it is the
It's on the
same
back.
series, so that would be,
But it doesn't state what the sill is going to look like. And that is, you know, and that was my question.
They have to comply with our guidelines, we're not seeking any modification to the guidelines requirement for the size of the windowsill.
So we make the assumption that it will have,
It's required, they have to comply with the guidelines unless they state otherwise in the application, so they're looking for some deviation.
Oh, there you go.
I am sorry, that's not a valid extension. Please try again.
okay, well, we can make the assumption then that, that the proposed windows meet all of the guideline requirements, including the extended sill
You can put that in the guidelines that it needs to
in
meet.
the,
I mean, the motion, you can put that it needs to meet all of the guidelines.
anyone want to make a motion?
And again, just so we're clear, in your guidelines, windowsill minimum thickness of 1.5 inches. That is the standard in your guidelines.
I will make a motion to approve the 224 Jefferson application as proposed under the conditions that the replacement windows meet all required guideline standards.
I second. Discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed.
Okay.
212 Madison, Ronald B. Deborah Carr.
Sorry, there was a typo. It is actually Clark, and Mr. Clark is here, so I'll go ahead and give the rundown. We are on agenda item 63. 212 Madison Avenue, applicants are Ronald and Deborah Clark. This is for the replacement of 21 of the existing wood 6/1 double-hung windows with new vinyl or Ultrex fiberglass 6/1 double-hung windows on the two-story single-family dwelling. Also on page 1 are the materials for both the Sunrise 6/1 double-hung vinyl or the Marvin Elevate 6/1 double-hung Ultrex fiberglass. And on page 2, you will find all of the Historic District overlay design guidelines that you should have looked over. And as stated, if you have any questions, the applicant is here to explain this application more and all information provided.
Yeah, I think you need, because you're not replacing the wood with the wood, but rather with vinyl, you're going to have to justify that in a way, because this is usually not allowed, so unless there's some really extenuating circumstance, that's my
Just state your name for the record.
take on how I read that.
Sure, thank you. My name is Ronald Clark, and it is a pleasure for me to be here and a pleasure to have purchased a home in the community. Thank you. This is a 1931 home that's actually been 3 generations of the same family. And during that time, the original windows have gone through several stages of deterioration and failure of both function and structure. In fact, to the point that about 25 years ago, what the family did is installed aluminum storm windows on top in order to provide some protection to the home. At this point, virtually all of the windows, all the windows that we're replacing do not either open or close, providing a serious concern to us for egress, particularly for my children and grandchildren to be in the house. I have consulted with numerous people about the feasibility of trying to restore them, and most of them have told me it's just not feasible to do that. What we want to do instead is to replace these windows, and not all the windows actually, the ones that are non-functional, with windows of the same size, same dimensions, same configuration, and same appearance. So it will have the, yes, they will be divided, the simulated divided light. I included a photograph of the sunrise windows, the actual windows, so you can see it with the exterior grid, the interior spacer bar, and the interior grids, as well as in the Marvin windows, their architectural schematic showing that. But what these windows actually will gain for us is state-of-the-art both structure and glazing, so that what we end up with is exceptional now upgrade to the climate conditioning in the house, which is very important, and giving us the necessary egress, which is essential for my family and a great concern to my two daughters before we have the kids there. And at the same time, what we're going to do is restore the appearance of the original windows without the need for storm windows. When you look at the house now, you see storm windows. You don't really even see the other windows at all. I mean, you see in the background, but you would have no idea what the profile is. So I think we're doing a significant upgrade and improvement to the house, and it really leaves us no choice for us to be able to live in it comfortably as a
I believe
family.
the concern that Mr. Sharp had is that you're replacing wood with windows with vinyl. Not that you're replacing them, but you're replacing them with vinyl.
Yeah, well, I'm aware that the board has approved, as recently as the last meeting, applications for replacement of wood windows with either vinyl, or the Marvin window is, like the other gentleman who used it, is a wood composite structural window. We just haven't decided that, which one we're using. The sunrise window, and the reason I included the specs, has actually superior glazing to the Marvin windows. It's an omega 12 glazing package, which is, and the specifications are actually included in the background materials. So we just haven't decided which one yet we want to go with.
Have you decide that before we approve it?
Oh, I was led to believe that I could put either, you could approve either one of them.
No, you have to pick one.
Right.
I mean, you are correct in saying that vinyl is an approved material. It's just for the purpose of approval, we have to know exactly what you're putting in.
Okay, I actually cannot make that.
Is there one that you'd rather choose over the other? Would you?
Yeah,
I think the composite would have been my first. Michael?
yeah, but I'm still, we got wood, we're replacing wood, and there's going to be certain implications of going from wood to composite wood, and I'm trying to think
And
through a couple hundred cases where,
We have done this, and it has, because it is an approved material,
Yeah.
we have approved replacing old wood with new
composite, yeah,
materials.
like I know Hardy, some of the names I know more than others, so, but going in this direction, you know, I'll it's tough.
Actually, the manufacturers all are now saying that the wood windows are no longer what you would consider superior, either in structure, because they do deteriorate over time, while these others won't. Just as the reason we're now seeing simulated divided light is because true divided light isn't even made anymore because of so many failures that occurred to it. My home in Northern Virginia, has true divided light windows. And the amount of seal failures from them are a testament as to why the manufacturers stopped using them.
You're
But
gonna have to, you're saying you're not gonna replace all of them, so you're still gonna continue to have some wood.
there are some the windows in the attic, because they were not used the same way, are restorable. None of the others are.
Questions, Michael? No. I mean, we have determined that either composite or vinyl is an accepted material for replacing windows.
You can replace a wooden window in a contributing 1931 structure with a vinyl window?
We have done that, yes.
So I'm looking at page 50 in the guidelines, which is 520,
15,
Right.
50.
50, okay.
So it says, if a historic window needs to be replaced, match the historic window in size, dimensions, configuration, and materials. It's 50 if you're scrolling through. It's
550?
520.
5-20.
If you're, provide detailed photographic documentation of deterioration of each window proposed for replacement, dimensions, requirements, etc. I guess that's where I'm hung up.
But then we have a list of acceptable materials for replacement. And both vinyl and composite are on that. If they don't use wood.
And I might add that the appearance of the replacements that we're proposing will be more like the original than the situation that we have now. Not only that, that part of the reason that these windows deteriorated is because they didn't have central heating and air conditioning. There were window, as you can see on some of the photographs, window air conditioning units, and we will have all of those out. So what you'll be looking at is
So
true,
we've at least got a few windows that work.
excuse me,
We at least have a few windows that work then.
in the attic. Yes. And we actually wanted to keep them. The others, you know, the salespeople would have loved to have us replace those also. We thought they were functional and would not have really the same kind of use that we're talking about with these. But from an appearance point of view, I can assure you that from the street, it will actually look improved and more like it was originally than it does now. And yet allows us, for example, in the event of a fire, to actually get out of them, which we can't do now, and to improve the climate conditioning of the house.
Michael, would a composite material be more acceptable?
Than vinyl? Well, yeah, I think, I mean, I would, but if it says in here, vinyl's acceptable, and I'm trying to find that wording.
Well, the list of acceptable materials, I don't know, they're listed right there on that page.
I mean, very recently, they're actually, I was reading some of the minutes of the past where there was, I think, a 6/1 wood was replaced with 6/1 vinyl. We've tried, when we looked for vinyl windows, to find really the Cadillac of vinyl windows, which is these Sunrise are really exceptional, and that's why I included so many specifications of the windows in my packet. If you feel more comfortable with the wood extruded composite with fiberglass, that would just tip us to make the decision that way. I mean, Marvin has, is well renowned for the quality of their windows. So one way or the other, they're a little more expensive but if that would make the board feel more comfortable, we will do it.
What do you think? Using the wood composite instead of vinyl.
There is, I don't know.
I mean, the bottom line for us, we can't live with the existing windows. It's just, it's not possible.
Tracy, can you point us to, I'm looking in the Chapter 7, Section 7, Alternative Materials, to that specific language? I don't see it in terms of, it's listed in the staff report. What Kathy's referring to, what different materials would be appropriate for this?
Sure, that's what we were just looking for, and we're thinking
Okay.
she
We're
is
all doing the same
stating,
thing.
well, we think she's stating that because it is just overall for the historic district, vinyl is an approved material. And we were just reading, as you all were speaking, I was just reading on the guidelines for window replacement, and it does say, for the guidelines for windows, only replace historic windows that cannot be salvaged. Avoid wholesale replacement of historic windows, which he is not replacing the attic windows, I do believe, because he said that they are usable.
They can be restored.
They can be restored. And then it says if a historic window needs to be replaced, match the historic window in size, dimensions, configuration, and it does say and materials. This should include utilizing replacement windows that have 3D muttons with internal spacer bars between the glass to achieve a simulated divided light, provide detailed photographic documentation, and I believe you've read that. But whenever they bring us an alternative material, that's when we refer you to our alternative material section, and that is what Kathy's referring to. Because overall, vinyl is now an alternative material for the historic district. And I do believe she went down the flow chart.
But not for fences.
Not for fences, and that is stated in there. It's for siding and siding and window, you all have approved replacement vinyl windows and vinyl windows for new homes.
If I could only add, it is our intent to preserve as much as we can. That's part of why we purchased a home in this community. That's why we purchased this particular home that has more opportunity for us to do it. The windows are just a different item. And I will mention that the homes on either side of this house and across the street, all have vinyl windows. Unfortunately, they've replaced them. They replaced them without grids, but that's when you all had different rules in place. So we are only thinking of doing that which would restore the original look, not to take away from it.
So I think per the guidelines, it comes down to specifically, this is 5.1, only replace historic windows that cannot be salvaged. Comes down to that point, whether or not they can be salvaged.
Whether they should be replaced versus.
Correct.
It doesn't specifically say what material they have to be replaced with.
Well, that's to Tracy's point that it would be an acceptable material, I think.
Yeah, that's why I always
I can
refer.
say for a fact, every window in my house that was wood was replaced with composite and was approved by this board.
So I guess if that is approved, then that is when you would go down to just making sure that they match the
If I just maybe.
historic
have a point of
window.
clarification, I appreciate your example of your renovation, Kathy, but it was done under different guidelines. So I just don't want us to get always in the habit of
It was done under these guidelines.
Okay, so I just want to make sure guidelines that were adopted since December 15th of 2020.
And we have done other houses.
And I absolutely agree with that point. I just don't want to keep commingling older projects. They were under different guidelines, that's all.
I'm sure we could find some within the past couple months.
And I totally agree.
I agree.
It is a choice we've done elsewhere, and it's part of the evaluation you do on every application, that's all.
I would like to make a motion that we approve it with the condition that composite wood windows are used.
Okay. I think we're setting a precedent, but I'm not gonna,
Yeah, I think,
this is the world we live in, I think. And so, yeah. I don't know, what do you think, Marty?
I mean, if either or are acceptable materials, I don't think we can say it has to be one or the other. I think we could say, maybe this would be preferable. Like I said, for me, it comes down to the language that I'd referenced earlier, which was whether or not they can be salvaged as they are, and if it needs to be replaced, matching the historic window size, dimensions, configuration, and materials. So, reason for the exception to change materials is the question I have.
Yes, that's exactly what we're stuck with.
So we have an impasse.
We don't have a second to your motion yet.
Right.
No. This is kind of precedent setting, that's what. But by the same token,
So first, do we have a second to Kathy's motion? No?
Second.
Okay. Do we have another motion?
okay, that's, yeah, you're taking us through.
This was just done. Wood windows with vinyl.
You can state it.
At a recent meeting, if I could just add, by a motion made by Chairwoman Glazer, seconded by Member James, to approve an application for certificate appropriateness at 520 Monroe Avenue, part of that was to replace 17 3/1 wood windows with 3/1 vinyl double-hung windows.
I must have missed that one. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I understand that point. Katie, can you help us out contextually?
She's
Okay.
researching.
No, typing the minutes.
Yeah,
Well, we're not going anywhere quickly, obviously.
no, I don't understand so we have two members that want him to replace with wood. He does not want to replace with wood. He wants to do wood or wood composite. So that's what the application is for. So,
I'm going to come around just for a second. So I think one of the things I noted, Marty, when you were talking about their application, is they did provide us pictures of the windows. Do you not feel that their deterioration is sufficient enough to justify a wood replacement to a different or alternative material?
I guess perhaps I would say I can't tell. And I don't know that that's even something that I necessarily would need to review. I'd be comfortable if someone in the office, staff would. Does that make sense?
Because I think that's the crux of the matter, is the
Yeah.
applicant has made that statement that the
Yeah.
windows are unusable and of a condition that is no longer safe for the building.
certainly
I can't
not-
say I've gone to his house and tried to open and close
No,
all of
and
his
that's-
windows or really check the deterioration.
And I mean, it's certainly not my preference, nor do I have, any stake in any of that. I'm just looking at what I'm reading in the guidelines and trying to follow that to the degree that I'm able.
Sure. And that really is down to the cruxes. He's looking to replace the windows. He's indicating that they are not salvageable, and that really is the crux. Do we concur with that analysis? Are these not salvageable windows? And therefore, an alternative window material can be considered, meaning vinyl instead of wood. So that's the first question. I think we have now heard he's indicated wood is not an option for replacement for him. That's just not what he's proposing to do at this point in time.
One more time, why wood is not an option?
That is a choice that he is not advocating for this house based upon his experience with the project as a whole, what is on the windows, what has not been working for him with this home style. Go for it.
And I have been advised by the suppliers that these windows will be superior in function and performance
sure, yeah.
than a wood window.
No.
In fact, so I don't want to be coming back here in a number of years to have to replace the wood windows that I replaced. I'll also, because I actually took the time to watch the video of the meeting that was held here on the 3rd, and I know at 110 Tazewell, there were a lot of different issues on the agenda for that one, but you approved there a replacement of wood with vinyl windows also. So I hope you would give us all the opportunity to do something that certainly preserves the appearance and the character, which is, I absolutely agree, is what we all want to have, but allow us the ability to take advantage of the changing technology to improve really upon what was done 90-odd years ago.
Do we all agree that it's acceptable they need to be replaced?
Katie, can you verify that in fact that's what happened in those two instances that were cited?
In terms of his particular structure, as I said, I did not actually go into the house to try and open or
No.
close his windows.
but
I did do a
I'm-
visual inspection from the street, so there is deterioration has occurred on the property,
Oh,
on the
yeah,
windows themselves. So I'm not questioning that.
No, but he mentions two other very recent incidents in which vinyl
We have.
was allowed over wood, and I don't know if there was some extenuating reason for that, or,
I can't say that you articulate a particular reason, but I'd have to go back and pull those minutes, but I'm not recalling one that this was called out in a specific fashion. This is part of the challenge when you're reviewing these applications, is you get maybe into a little more depth when it's a singular feature that you're looking at versus a whole house renovation project. Sometimes some of those details may slip us during your review at this point, at this level. But again, as I'm going through article, or chapter 7, I should say, if I'm now flipping to 7.7, it walks you through the things you should be considering for considering alternative materials, which are all the things that we've been talking about. So it walks us through window replacement as percentage of deterioration is measured per window. And then from there, we go on to the next thing for, is there really a deteriorative feature here? And we could request for letters from an architect, engineer, or contractor who's experienced in evaluating these sorts of things. Potential for the staff to visit. In addition to these factors, other things to be considered. The physical characteristics, which I think we've now answered. He is going to retain the size, shape, profile, composition, color, finish, and texture. The visual characteristics of the original material, again, I know he has touched base on that as well. Do the new materials closely resemble the original material? So that's part of this determination that you need to be looking at. Are the new materials structurally compatible with the remaining materials? Is it more durable than the original? What is the lifespan of the new materials? What is the record of performance of this type of material? Is it sustainable? Those are all the factors that would weigh into your determining if the alternative material is acceptable under those criteria.
So wood composite is an option.
Yes.
right?
So I think I'm prepared to make a motion if we want to keep moving here. assuming the windows cannot be salvaged, as stated in the guidelines, I move to approve the application as proposed for 212 Madison. I don't think we can, necessarily say it's got to be one or the other if these are both acceptable alternative materials.
Either vinyl or wood composite.
We don't need to specify which, if both are acceptable.
I think we do need to know because we have to actually write down the type of what you're being approved for. So
Well-
a selection is going to have to be made either by the applicant.
Well, that would
right
come
now,
from,
I think I can go with wood composite.
Or
Why-
within a week, he needs to inform the office of which one he has selected so
Yeah,
we can write up
I-
the documentation.
and I think that would be fair. I mean, it's,
I will replace them with wood composite windows.
Repeat your motion.
Is that okay in your motion?
yeah, but I think to the point is that
Right.
you mentioned you
I'll,
wanted to go
I'll
to
second the
vinyl.
motion.
We hadn't made a decision, but if
Okay.
that's, and I actually appreciate where you're going with that.
I'm just saying
I
if,
was in the same position, but if it makes other board members feel more comfortable, I will do the other.
Okay.
I'll make the selection.
Repeat your motion again.
so my motion, to repeat it, was that if the windows cannot be salvaged, I move to make a motion that the applicant from 212 Madison would be approved as proposed with either the vinyl or fiberglass. I think to Katie's point that it makes sense that it would be his decision if these are
Fine.
both acceptable replacements.
And I
whether-
will notify the office within a week.
I think that would be fine.
So the bottom line is if they cannot be salvaged.
Salvage, you said that, but you want to
You're saying either
include
one.
vinyl as one of the materials.
That's
You
what
don't
we
agree.
have at the,
It's the guideline.
I mean, wood or wood composite sounds closer at least to trying to,
Do you want to make a motion?
I guess I could.
We have a motion right now.
Oh,
Yeah, so, and gentleman is
Is there a
quite willing to go with wood composite.
is there a
He's
second
just
on
said
his
that.
motion?
So, no, I'd rather make a motion.
Okay, so there is no second on Martin's motion. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, the motion dies. Let's try for a third one.
And we have a new motion.
I would like to make the same motion with the exception that the alternative be the wood composite.
I second that. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Motion is,
And wood, again,
go ahead.
I don't know what higher-ups we have to resort to, but if there's any subsequent clarification on this issue, so we don't get stuck again, I would appreciate it. That's quite separate and distinct from what we just did, so.
Well, no, I just think we've gone through the criteria that you've evaluated this under, and you do find the wood composite more compatible to equalizing to the wood that's currently there than a vinyl material.
Mhm,
So
that's
that is the support under the historic guidelines that would support your motion.
right.
And, yes, of course, our applicant would have the right to appeal this decision if he so chooses, or otherwise he's been approved for material,
Yeah.
material choice.
So the application is approved
With the spec-
using the wood composite.
Yes, and I believe that's, he's referring to Fibrex clad.
Right.
Yes, and, you know,
Okay.
Mr. Cars said he was quite willing to use the wood composite there, so, okay, end it, let's stop there. Thank you.
Okay. Next. 646 Tazewell.
Agenda item
Wait
60,
1 second. No, you want, okay. Sorry.
Agenda item 64, 646 Tazewell Avenue, applicant Susan and by Bob item. This is to replace all existing wood windows with new wood windows of the same size and configuration as existing, and to replace the front wood door with a new front wood door of a different design on the two-story single-family dwelling. The application includes replacing the wood siding and trim where necessary with new wood siding and trim. That is page 1. On page 2, you will see the materials, which the schematics are also the applicant also included while submitting this application. Also, if you go down under the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines, you will see all the guidelines that you should have read that pertain to this application. The applicant is here to answer any questions if you have any.
No, it looks good to me.
I have a question.
Sure.
On
Come up, please state your.
Please state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Susan Item, 646 Tazewell.
Hi, Susan. I'm assuming when you say replacing wood as necessary, that's just as you go along, if you find a section that needs to be replaced, you will do that.
On the siding of the house, yeah, there's patches of different kinds of woods, different kinds of cement fiberboard. This house was abandoned, before. So they did a patchwork over it. So yes, and also as needed, the wood trim. I mean, like the wood trim around my door is original, I'm keeping that. If I come around original wood around windows, I'm keeping them. That's why I'm getting all the windows made, custom made exactly the same size as the ones that are coming out.
I have no questions. It looks great.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for 646 Tazewell as proposed.
I'll second.
Aye.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Tracy and the staff. This has been a year in researching, and they've been really, really helpful to get us to bring you a tight and complete, correct package. So thank you, all of you.
I agree. Mason.
Yes, I will need to call this applicant. Well, this is Mr. Collins.
Hello.
Is this Mr. DeAngelis?
This is
No, this is Mr. Collins, Angela.
Mr. Collins.
Oh, Collins, I'm sorry.
No,
This-
you got the right.
I understand. This is the Historic Board from Cape Charles calling because we're reviewing your application.
Okay, this is agenda item 65 for 609 Mason Avenue. The applicant is Angelo Collins Jr. The owners are Edward and Bonito De Angelis. And the work being performed is they would like to replace the existing front metal door with a new front fiberglass door of a different design, replace the existing vinyl siding with new hardy siding, and replace the existing cool wrapped trim with new hardy trim boards on the single-family dwelling. That's all on page 1. If you flip over to page 2, you'll see a materials list, and for the door, you'll see different types of doors that are listed, because that's what the applicant submitted. And the siding and trim material is hardy. And if you move along down, you'll see all the sections of the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines, which should have been read for this application. And then included in the application is the existing door and the proposed doors. And as stated, the applicant is on the phone if you have any questions.
I have a question regarding the doors. Are those two different doors they're replacing, or is it, they haven't decided which one?
He has not decided which one. I believe he just hadn't decided which one. I give you all the information I'm giving. There you go. He can answer that question better.
Okay. Do we need to know which one before we approve it? Yes.
I would like.
We need to know which one you've decided.
It's gonna be one of the, it's either gonna be, probably a square. Right now it's an oval window in it. So it's gonna be one of the doors with the, halfway up, it'll be a window.
We need to know exactly what kind.
She's referring to, you have the two different designs. One is the half light that is sort of rounded, and the other is the half light that is square with like a mosaic design.
Yeah, it's gonna be the one that is rounded.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm gonna change it. It'll be the one that is square. I apologize. Half light, square.
Okay. Any other questions? This is an unusual building. Is it?
Yes.
So I'm not quite sure how it fits.
It's still a Ford dealership.
Yes.
Right.
6,
I have no other questions.
509.
Michael?
We're on 5, yeah, no, it's,
So just whoever makes the motion, make sure you put the design of his choice in the motion, please.
I'll make the motion that we approve the application as specified with the door that has the square design. So,
is that acceptable? I mean, to the applicant?
you said that's the one you wanted, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Second.
I'll second that.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application is approved. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
509.
Bye-bye.
6.
Next. 509 Randolph.
Okay, agenda item 66, 509 Randolph Avenue. The applicant is Russell Goodrich, and the owner is Cape Charles Baptist Church Trustees. The applicant is seeking to replace the following: the existing front porch with tongue and groove, the wood flooring with new Trex composite decking board, the existing wood balustrades and wood columns with new composite balustrades and columns of the same design, and the existing wood ceiling and trim. You'll have to ask him what type of material. That was not listed on the application. And the existing second floor 2/2 windows with new 2/2 vinyl windows. And 3, the vinyl scallop siding. It's up at the top in front of the house, where needed on the 2-story single-family dwelling. And that is all on page 1. On page 2, at the top of the page, you'll see the materials of the porch flooring, the porch balustrades, and here is listed out the exact kind, which is the veranda Williamsburg, and it's called polycomposite rail system. the windows, and the siding, which is the vinyl cedar round. If you follow it down, again, listed is the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines that are listed out that should have been read for this application. And the applicant is here if you have any questions. And if you have questions, I just ask that he comes up and states his name for the record, please.
I have a question. Did you have a question?
Okay.
Mr. Russell?
Good evening, Russell
Mr.
Goodrich,
Russell.
representing Cape Charles Baptist Church.
Yeah, just want to make sure,
Oh, yes.
with respect to the replacement of windows on the second floor and the spindles that are in the front porch there, with a poly composite rail spindle, I think in both instances you want to use vinyl.
Yes.
So that's the question about replacing wood with vinyls, and then the wooden spindles down below, which, you know, it kind of looks like, the new ones would kind of look like a spindle, but they're not really the wooden spindles. So-
Yes. So the rail system that we found is an exact replica of the wood one in all of its design. Its spindles are spun, it's got all the grooves on it. The bottom board where the spindles land, it has a
Oh.
V shape that catches it on the 2x4.
Yeah.
All of that's in the new replacement.
It's not in the picture though, right?
Oh, I thought I had included that.
I mean, there is a picture of spindles, but they're like straight up and down.
Yes, I
Okay.
thought that was, yeah, and I think it's exactly the same as the wood one, it's just a replacement with the new vinyl.
Yeah, so there's a picture of them.
I'm not clear what your question is.
It's,
You're saying they don't look the same?
no, I'll find the picture.
It's page 146, Mike.
Is that,
146.
yeah,
How high are the existing
yeah, there
ones
they
now?
are, so it's just,
In this height of the rail you're talking about?
yeah.
I
That's what
don't
I'm
know, it's
looking at
just
now.
the
Okay.
standard height,
Okay,
whatever
but-
that is, 3 feet or whatever that rail is supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this one is actually
again-
almost exactly like the one we discussed 2 weeks ago.
So, but, yeah, it's not being replaced with wood spindles. I guess that's a and this is a contributing structure in the historic district. I think the sign, we're going, oh, again, I think it's back to where we were earlier on,
You're using composite for the railings?
Correct.
it's a, you know, vinyl.
No, wood composite for the railings.
Okay, well, the description at Home Depot said vinyl, so I could,
Where did you see that?
yeah, no, I was looking up more to understand what polycomposite was, and first thing I hit was the Home Depot where you could buy it, and that's how it described it as vinyl. So,
Yeah, I realized when I was looking for it that it was an exact look replacement in a vinyl material. But it was so exact, I was pleased with that. I do see it, not that it matters, but I do see it on other porches in Cape Charles, even on the same block that we're on, there's some houses that have that type of railing system. And it was really about maintenance. The ones that are there are probably the originals that have 50 layers of paint on them. Some of them are broken and busted, so it'd be extremely laborious to try to do something with that. But
So you're saying that the description from Home Depot is not? The material that the Home Depot had as, for that particular thing was not what you thought it should be.
Yeah, it said vinyl, I mean,
Excuse me, if I may, and he included this within his packet, and it does say the polycomposite rail, and it does say in the details, and what Mike is referring to is vinyl, but you have also approved this
As an acceptable material.
as an acceptable material.
okay. That's fine.
So I guess it just goes back to if other
And the
details.
balusters will be the same material,
Yes. Sorry,
Okay.
and they'll be exactly the same.
they will.
And the second story windows,
Sure. So the second story windows, our situation is that they too are broken. Some will not open all the way. In the recent storm, 2 of them blew inside of the house. We had to screw them back up to the building.
Yeah.
But another issue for us is that when we purchased a house now 18 years ago, the owners before had done some renovation and they had replaced all the first floor windows with vinyl, but they had not done the second floor. So the house is actually a mismatch of window systems already.
okay.
Yes, yeah, so, it's really about trying to, as the other gentleman said, trying to make it look absolutely as historic as possible, bring it back to where it looks more like it should look. And right now, we've got, we got a quilt look.
I get your point, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay, those are my two, let's see, anything else?
I would say that the design on the existing windows does not meet our guidelines as far as the sills. So I'm not sure what the replacements are gonna look like. Are they gonna have the wider sill underneath the window?
I would say that we will do what's necessary to make sure that that happens. So if the picture that you've got is not reflecting that,
This is what you have now.
uh,
I can't really tell from the picture of the window you're replacing it with what the molding is gonna look like around it. But there is a picture in our guidelines explaining all the different components of that.
yeah, so it would be a matter of us just making sure that we put the trim back in by the guidelines. Yeah, that would definitely be done.
Marty?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really kind of similar to the application that we approved on January 3rd and also has elements of what we approved earlier today in terms of the replacements on the porch, the deterioration, the windows, the use of what we have deemed per the guidelines as acceptable materials. For all of those reasons, I'm in favor of proceeding as proposed.
Mayor, if I may, I should have made this correction also. So the porch does not have the original tongue and groove on the decking. It actually already has decking boards there, and that's been there before we purchased the house. So we are planning on, per approval, just to take those boards up and put the newer composite board down, have the exact same look. The tongue and groove is in the ceiling of the porch, and that is rotten and falling apart, but we are going back with tongue and groove for the ceiling. We are going to do original replacement there.
And that will also be composite.
It doesn't have to be. It's whatever is,
That's what you have on your application.
well, that'd be fine, yes, yes. In tongue and groove, it will go back with the original look on the ceiling.
Any other questions?
No.
Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the application for 509 Randolph as proposed under the condition that the requirements for the windows are met.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Thank y'all so much.
Okay.
Okay. New construction, tax map. 83A1-1-26 Jefferson Avenue.
Okay, I think we're past all the windows.
Or not.
These are new.
Yeah.
Item number 67, this is tax map number 83A1-1-26, lot 26 Jefferson Avenue. The applicant is QS LLC. The owners are Chris and Stephanie Vinoco. I may have gotten that wrong, so I apologize. And this is to construct a new 1,071 square foot, two-story, single-family residence with a 21 by 7 front porch and a 16 square foot rear deck. This application also includes the installation of an outdoor shower, a paver patio, and a crushed shell or gravel driveway. This lot is currently vacant. That's all on page 1. If you go to page 2, you'll see the complete materials listing. And for the roof materials, I tried to list out the house and the porch. And then this one, the historic district for the zoning compliance, you will see that we do need some things, but we were very clear that we knew it would be forthcoming and that it would not impede the elements under the HDRB review. So starting on page 2, you will see the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines, and they continue on page 3.
I have a question on, you included your zoning review checklist. The numbers are different. The square
Assuming that,
footage is different.
yeah, I noticed that on all.
Oh,
of them. Assuming
that's
the
because,
footprint.
yeah, that's footprint. One
you're
is
doubling
footprint
it.
and one is whole, yes.
Okay,
With the second story you're adding.
Yes.
okay.
And the applicant is here if you have questions. And I'm going to say one more time, as I do with all applicants, please state your name for the record. Yep. Do you want me to call them up?
Do you have questions?
No questions? Okay.
Not yet.
I just had a question about the vinyl chimney.
The what?
Is that okay?
What's that?
I know, huh?
I didn't hear you.
The vinyl chimney.
Hello, Sean Ingram,
Oh, hi,
representing
Sean.
QSLC. Yeah, well, it's hardy, so it wouldn't be vinyl. But go ahead and continue with your question.
Well, that was it. I mean, let me see if there's any, that's the
Yeah,
only
it's
thing.
hardy siding, it's not vinyl, but
Okay.
this is a chimney bump out to encompass a fireplace. It's pretty cookie cutter stuff. It's in most of our projects.
Okay.
And I assume it's a gas fireplace, so.
Yeah, correct, yeah. Yeah, if we put a wood one in, they're gonna have big problems.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application as listed.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Busy little neighborhood over there.
It is. Okay, moving right along. This is agenda item 68, tax map number 83A1-1-62, lot 62 Jefferson Avenue. Applicant QS LLC, owner Brian and Emily Olaf. Again, an applicant is seeking to construct a new 1,075 square foot, two-story, single-family residence with 150 square feet front porch and a 250 square feet rear deck. The application also includes the installation of an outdoor shower and a stone or gravel driveway. The lot is currently vacant because this is a new home. If you move along, turn over to page 2, or flip down to page 2, you'll see a complete listing of materials. Also for the roof, we have listed out the house and the porch and all other materials. Same thing for the staff analysis. We were very clear that said that our zoning compliance would be forthcoming, so this would not impede the elements under HDRB review. If you continue down on page 2, the Historic District Overlay Design Guidelines are listed out, which continues on page 3.
Pretty much
And then
same as the previous one.
same as the previous, yes. And everything is listed out and the application is included. The applicant is available for questioning if you have any questions.
Anybody?
So, it's okay, I guess. And for new construction in the historic district, vinyl windows are fine, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yep.
the only question I have.
It's a complete application. I've got no questions.
Anyone make a motion?
We'll make a motion to approve the application for Lot 62 Jefferson Avenue as proposed.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass. One more.
Okay.
Last but not least.
Okay, this is item 69. Last but not least, tax map number 83A1-1-31. This is Lot 31, Jefferson Avenue. Applicant Patricia Ardent, I hope I said her name correctly, owner Wilmington Lots LLC. Again, this is to construct a new 128 square foot two-story family residence with 120 square feet front porch. This is also for the installation of 2 outdoor showers, 2 because one will be for the main house and one will be for the accessory structure, which will include accessory dwelling unit. And
It's different from what I have. Did you change the square footage?
It's, again, it's, what are we?
We're doing lot 31. You have 828 square feet on this.
Yeah,
one.
that's what I said.
I thought you
And
said-
then I went down to 120 for the porch, front porch,
Okay.
and then the installation of 2 outdoor showers, and then 56 square feet concrete patio, and a shelled driveway are also being proposed. The application also includes the construction of a 440 square feet, 2-story accessory structure that will be used as a garage and accessory dwelling unit. And that will use the same material as the main house. Again, this is a vacant lot. It's on page 1. And on page 2, you will see all materials listed. The roof materials are listed out from the main house and the accessory structure to list out the roof pitches and the porch. So you get all of the materials there. If you move along down, we put the same statement as the other 2, that zoning compliance. We need to, yes, we.
application of the accessory structure.
Yes, Katie Nunez will come, and she has been speaking with this applicant.
So I did have a conversation with the applicant, and she is present here as well. to do a slight modification on the design of the accessory structure. Specifically, we're going to pull the interior stairwell, which was coming in from the garage. There was a stairwell leading to the second story. We're actually going to remove that from being inside the building to sit outside the building. That makes it look more like an accessory structure, and it also is a signifying event for us with stairwells going up, that there's a dwelling up there as well, which is typical within the district as a whole. I had initially considered the removal of the two dormers, but I think moving the stairwell from being inside the garage to outside gives it enough of a distinguishing characteristic that it doesn't look like a typical single-family dwelling in this district with an exterior stairwell like that. So she has given us revised drawings to that effect, and she will talk to that if you have any further questions. On top of that, that brings her into full zoning compliance with the accessory structure because it's no longer a possibility of the garage first floor being converted or assimilated into the accessory dwelling structure. So the whole square footage of the accessory dwelling structure is relegated to the 440 square feet. And then the bottom first floor is all garage space to be used for whether parking a vehicles, or storage of whatever you might have in your garage. So in that regard, I am now back in zoning compliance with this application, with that modification. I think we have that. Did we have a drawing of that for their review as well? But I know Patricia is here to speak on it as well.
So
Okay.
none of that's in our package, right?
None of that is in your package. Those are conversations I had on Friday with the applicant looking to resolve this.
I'm still confused about the square footage. You have
Sure.
828 square foot here.
Say that again?
If you move further along into the zoning documents attached, I
I
think
see
it's
that.
1526 total.
The square footage.
That's the footprint of the first floor.
Yes, because from all your zoning ordinances based upon footprint. We don't care about what you're going up vertically, although we do have restrictions under the zoning ordinance, how tall your buildings can be. So yes, when I'm giving you the numbers under my staff reports in the zoning compliance, I'm looking at it from a building footprint compliance.
But in general, on our applications, we've had the full square footage.
And it is, in her paperwork, it is written that way. In
It
her
says
that's the staff report. In her application document, she has written all of her square footage out for you. So if you look to the Historic District Certificate application, all of her square footage is there.
Because it was different on her, once we called and contacted her, it was different, so we updated it. Here's the next thing, I think you'll take that as a
So again, I'm looking at it to ensure it's in compliance with the zoning ordinance. We have requirements relative to lot coverage. We also then have requirements when you have accessory structures, that we have a ratio conformance to the house versus an accessory structure that we have to comply with. So that's why you're going to see different square footage documents or numbers used in my reports, because I'm using different elements of their building design to effectuate the zoning review. That's all.
And the accessory structure is 440.
Yes.
What is the ratio?
45%.
Thank you. It's on my zoning compliance. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Doesn't that exceed 45%?
No, not
just
to,
under.
not to the house. It's just under, and that was part of the issue, is as long as there is the potential of the first floor of the accessory structure being open and exposed to the second story and potentially be incorporated into, I was having to count all of the square footage of that building. That's what triggered it over. Moving the stairway outside keeps the garage, the first floor, totally isolated to itself and away from the accessory dwelling on the second story.
So there's no zoning compliance right now?
I
There
can
needs
give
to
zoning
be a
compliance
plan for
now.
a sidewalk?
There will be, that's part of their plan review, so.
So what
I
we're
can
doing-
give zoning compliance on this application today, yes.
Just-
we're
I just
approving
needed to make you
design.
aware there was a modification to the accessory structure, that the stairwell, which was shown on the plans as being inside the accessory structure, will now be moved to the outside of the structure.
okay.
We're just
So-
talking about the design, and
Yeah.
she'll take care of the zoning.
Yes. But it's a design change for your review to know that there's now going to be a stairwell that sits on the outside of the accessory structure building.
But
So
none
that
of
you can
the
get up-
materials change.
None of the materials change, no. Okay?
No.
You still have a question?
Yeah, the previous four were pre-applications or certificates. This one is not a pre-application. Is that true?
What do you mean?
She had already had pre-applications meeting with
Oh,
us
okay, so
previously, which was.
we already had an earlier one that was the pre-application?
Yes,
So this is the full
This is the
regular.
full regular with
Yes.
all of these things in it?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah,
I want to make sure everybody understands the slight design change on the accessory structure alone.
yeah.
Is there a fence included in this?
No.
What am I, that's the railing that I see the wrought iron.
I'm going to turn it back to you, Tracy.
There,
No fences included in this application.
I think it's aluminum railing that
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's on the porch. But like I said, if you
and
have,
that's gonna be on the front porch?
hold on. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. I'm Patricia Arndt. I'm the owner of this project, and yes, the aluminum railing will be on the front porch. It will be wood with aluminum railing.
And I think that's a design that we have not considered in the historic district. So, something, the front porch is gonna have a wood top with aluminum railings in between.
Aluminum spindles.
Is there a picture of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was, well, not the whole finished.
Let's see.
It is new construction. Trying to find a picture of the railing.
Marty, you have the number of that? Okay.
On the front porch.
Okay.
It's just, I don't think it's something we've seen in town,
No, it's a little different. yeah.
even on new construction.
Can't.
It doesn't mean that it cannot be
Yeah.
a material choice used. This is new construction.
Correct. Just making the point.
Yeah, I don't recall having seen that before, but on section 510, in exterior trim and details, it states other products that may appear on non-contributing buildings include vinyl, aluminum, or PVC products.
So it's acceptable as a railing going down steps. So it would make sense that it would be acceptable. You're talking around the entire porch.
Well, that's the the porch railing.
Okay.
It should be cohesive.
Just don't recall seeing it before, but
And I do want to stress in chapter 5, if you go to actually page 5-40, or the section 5.13, which talks about new construction of primary buildings, it talks about ensuring that the new construction is consistent with the placement, orientation, massing, scale, and form of existing buildings, while also being clearly differentiated as modern insertions. While contemporary designs can be inspired by the distinctive features of the historic district overlay, historic duplication is not recommended. New construction should be sympathetic with its surroundings while remaining appropriate for its construction date. Those are the guidance that we provide for new construction. So this type of material choice is not unknown or foreign to new construction. That would be a distinctive feature of this era. That's all.
Questions?
the siding is going to be a board and batten composite?
Yeah, it's LP siding. It's a composite siding.
Okay.
LP smart siding.
I'm looking, oh, there, sample. That's also something that has been seen on new construction.
access. The accessory dwelling is going to be in the back
Correct, sir.
and.
Accessible from the alley.
There is no
accessible-
alley behind.
No,
There's
there's no
townhomes
alley.
behind it?
No, but room to.
A driveway will be
drive
going up
past
to.
the main dwelling and to the,
There's a driveway that is proposed.
because you
that's
got
large
it's 40 feet across, right?
enough. Yes, the frontage is 40 feet, there's a 10-foot proposed driveway, I guess 10 feet.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so much on the thing, I know. It's a lot identified on the survey, for sure.
On the left side, I think?
No, here.
No, right, this part. Right in here. Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
I have no further questions.
Make a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the application with the changes in the accessory structure with the exterior staircase.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is a yay day for me. Thank you.
That little section of Jefferson is going to be busy.
Yes. I know.
Tracy, you had a comment?
She's verifying who made the motion, who seconded.
I made the motion.
Marty seconded.
Marty second, yeah.
And that is the end of renovations, additions, and new construction. We have no commercial and no other. Except for Katie, other business.
Coming to the tail end of the long meeting. We have just approved 2 items during the month, for minor exemptions that were approved by the zoning administrator. They're there for your review. If you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain them.
No, thank you.
Otherwise, I do want to make you aware, relative to your vote last meeting, moving the house over on Mason Avenue. I have also now received a preliminary site plan for what would soon be the vacant lot when that house is moved, for a bank proposal. I've given them my zoning comments back on the preliminary site plan, so they will be getting an actual full site plan submitted into my office and into the various state agencies that have to do the review. With that said, in the past, we typically have scheduled a special meeting of this board when we're doing commercial reviews. I hope that would still extend moving forward. Not that I have a date for us to come into yet, but I've made the applicant aware that we would offer that same courtesy to their application when it arrives in our office. So as soon as I get that in, I will be in touch with you to start scheduling an on-site meeting so you can get a sense of what this proposal will look like. It will occupy 2 lots, not just the one, just so you're aware of that. And it includes a proposed drive-through, two-lane, I guess the best way, 2-lane drive-through. One with the drive-through window and one the outer rim, so that they would still be able to submit
With an
into the
ATM
office.
machine?
And there will be an ATM machine as well, yes.
Really steep there.
So we need to make
Yeah.
a motion down.
Just wanted to make you aware of that. And just some other things so that you're aware, not that you guys play a part in this per se. We are back in full continuation of the zoning ordinance amendment revisions that we've been undertaking with the Planning Commission and the Town Council for the last year. There will be a couple of revisions that we're going to end up doing into Article 8, which is your overlay district article. We have found that we didn't quite get full consistency between the guidelines and the ordinance language, so we're going to do one more pass-through and propose those as amendments where we didn't get full consistency. So we noticed that on 1 or 2 of our items that have come forward, and we've been making note of those. So I wanted to make you aware of that. If you happen to see that there are zoning amendments coming forward for Article 8, that's what they are about, okay? And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.